Welcome back to the Daily Mastermind. My name is George Wright III with your daily dose of inspiration, motivation, and education. I hope you're having an amazing week so far. We are day 2 into our 3-day live summit with Protect Wealth. So I've been pretty busy doing a bunch of things. We've had some amazing speakers and individuals, 7-figure mentors. We've had Clint Coons, who's talked about business structures and entities, S-corps, LLCs, limited partnerships, ways that you can protect yourself from lawsuit, and protect your business and your personal finances and wealth. We've also been talking with Aaron Adams, a friend of mine who's, 8-9-figure real estate investor. He's personally moved over 10,000 properties and has quite a big, extensive real estate business. He's shared a lot of wisdom with us. We've also heard from Mike Koval, who is a multi-millionaire stock investor who's done trainings for companies all over the world, and even a former senior prosecuting attorney for the IRS, Scott Estel. So we've had some really, really good events and things going on. Hopefully you've been able to join us. If not, I'll try to feature some of the content on our podcast here coming over the coming weeks. But today, I just wanted to break out of the event for a minute, which, by the way, is crazy because it's just a great example of how you can pivot your business. We usually do these events live, and because we couldn't do that, we're going to do a live stream, but we were real curious to find out how many people would actually be on this event, because it's a long event. We do it 3 days in a row. But ironically enough, we had over 1,000 registrations, and we have over 550 people on this event continuing into day 2. So it's crazy to see how many people want to increase their financial awareness as well as their personal development and build wealth and grow overall. And so it was a real exciting thing. But anyway, back to the podcast today. The quote of the day I wanted to begin with is by Les Brown, one of my favorite all-time motivators and inspirers in my life. And his quote is, "Anything worth doing is worth doing badly until you get it right." I think that's such a great one, because instead of just being positive, all the time, you can understand that anything that's worth doing, you can do badly until you get it right, because without making mistakes, you're never going to get the success that you need. And so another great bunch of words of wisdom from Les Brown. Now, I wanted to talk to you about a thought I had today, because as many of you know, I took a quick little trip down to Las Vegas with my son Jaron over the weekend, and I didn't quite know what to expect, but the bottom line is I needed to get away. I needed to get a little time away with him, and I wanted to prioritize, relationship time and just conversing. And so I never look forward to a 6-hour drive. Actually made it in about 4.5 hours, which was, I was going pretty fast. But I did enjoy the conversation. We had great dinners and we hung out and, stayed at my place down there. And I tell you, it was just a great trip. And there again, it makes me think you got to prioritize the little things in life. As your kids get older, as individuals move on with their life, there's not a lot of time that you have, and you don't get it back. So you need to make sure you take some time. But the reason I bring that up is because, as we got talking, Jaron was talking to me about trying out for the high school golf team and working on his game and feeling a little uncomfortable, maybe a little insecure about his swing and stuff like that. Hadn't golfed in a while, and I thought, well, you know what? Let's go take a few lessons. Let's do a few lessons, and let's see where we can help you improve with your swing. I thought it'd be a good opportunity for me to be able to spend some time with him. So we went over to Top Golf and got him a couple of lessons with the pro there, and it just gave me some amazing nuggets that I wanted to share with you, because here I was thinking they were going to jump right into teaching him, and sure enough, just as they should have, they backed up to the fundamentals. They backed up to the fundamentals that most of us, including him, assumed he already had done. So I'll give you just an example, and the reason I bring this up also is there's so much power in the idea of mentoring and coaching and individuals that can give you some independent perspective on where you at. Now, we could be talking about your business, your personal life, your relationships, your communication style, whatever it is. I've had coaches and mentors my whole life. I recommend them no matter what you're doing. So that's the first thing I thought when he wanted to increase his golf game. And as we got there, the very first thing, he's ready to start hitting balls and going crazy, but the very first thing they did is the pro said, listen, let's look at your grip. Let's start with your grip. Where do you hold your hands? And I thought, well, that's the most fundamental thing I could think of. But in your business, this backs up to things like, what is your vision for your business and your life? What are your goals? What are you trying to accomplish? If you can't start with the most basic thing there, you're never going to get anywhere. And most of us are so far into just jumping up and grabbing the club and starting to swing that we haven't stopped to look at the fundamentals, and you want to start with the right grip. And ironically enough, the grip that he had was not what he needed to have. And I didn't even think of it. I didn't even notice it. It's not something I would have picked up, having been around him quite a bit, golfing at driving ranges and things like that. And so, starting with the grip, that was so important. And then, even then, there wasn't time to jump into the swing because they wanted to talk about the setup. And for those of you that golf know that where you put your feet and what when you get a little bit of angle bent over to the ball and where you have your shoulders and your body, it all makes such a huge difference. And I would liken this unto things like your calendar and your major big rocks in your business. Have you stopped before you just start jumping into your day? Like all of us wake up in the morning and just start rocking and rolling. Do you already have your day planned out? Do you have your business and your relationships, your communication? Is it set up for success? Have you set yourself up for success? Just like you would when you're working on your setup and your positioning for golf. And then, then we started to break down his swing. And instead of just saying, let's just start swinging the club and let's see what we could do, literally broke the process down into 2 or 3 steps. Like how you're swinging back, how you're bending your arms, how you're following through, how you're moving your body weight. And what's interesting about this is there's so many specifics related to that it could almost get you boring, and it could be, things that didn't capture your attention. But this is the way it is in life, right? When we don't stop to goal set, when we don't stop to focus on what our priorities are, when we don't stop to really analyze what we're trying to do. This is back to me saying in a podcast the other day, how intentional are you being? When you don't break down where you spend your time, when you don't break down what you're focused on, you're going to have your ladder up against the wrong wall. You're going to get results that you're not looking for because you're doing activities that don't create the results you want. And this is why it's so funny when I was watching Jaron get these golf lessons. Even though he already knew what he was doing, and even though he already had a pretty good, swing, going back and getting to the fundamentals and going back and breaking down what your objective is and breaking down the size of your club and where you're going, it's something that really gave me the idea that I ought to spend some time mentioning this to you. And I want to get you thinking about, what are you doing to really break down the process of what you're trying to accomplish? Do you have a super clear vision of what you want to accomplish? Do you have milestones and goals that back you into where you're at today? Or are you just taking where you're at and trying to push forward towards your goal? It's so helpful to back all the way up and really see what you can do. Now, whatever sport you may play, I remember playing basketball in high school and several other sports as well, whether it's shooting free throws or doing layups and things. None of us want to do the basics, but the basics stacked up are what's going to create the best life ever. If you are willing to take the time, if you're willing to look at where you spend your schedule and your focus, if you're willing to set the goals, if you're willing to do all that work that doesn't sound fun, I promise you, you're going to have a much better, more successful life. And I'm going to give you a couple of suggestions and tips of where's areas you can start, and maybe areas you're not thinking of, because I'm a big believer that every aspect of your life will contribute to your goals. Even if you have a goal in business and you're neglecting other areas of your life. And I'm not talking about being balanced here. That's not what this is, because everything has a season and a cycle. What I'm saying is there may be some areas that are holding you back that you aren't focused on, that you aren't thinking about, but they can ultimately make or break your game. Just like a grip on a golf club could make or break, even if you're trying to figure out how to make a better swing. So here are some ideas. Number one, if you don't have daily rituals that are designed to bring out the best in you and get your mind and body and focus going, I highly recommend you create some daily rituals, and don't overwhelm yourself. Come up with 2 or 3 things that are specific to you that you do during the day that you know are going to benefit you and that you know you're going to get done. And another suggestion I have is to bookend your days. I really like the idea of getting my day started and then ending my day in the right way. So there might be rituals that help you in the morning to get moving, and in the end of the day to help you to reflect and practice gratitude. So bookend your days if you can. And then don't discount the fact that you need to focus on each and every area. In the morning, I always work on personal development stuff, mind, body, and spirit. Get your mental game right. This is where you have your meditation and your affirmations or visualization that you might have of where you want to take yourself. your body. You've got to get moving and you've got to exercise. You've got to feed your body the right nutrition, water, plenty of water. Those are the type of things you don't think about. But when you don't drink a lot of water, or you're on a lot of stimulants like caffeine and whatnot, and you don't feed your body the right things, your brain is not going to work as well. Your body's not going to work as well. And when you're working against yourself with low energy or mental distractions, it's going to bother you. And spirit. Now, whether this is not about religion or not, the bottom line is you might decide that you need to have prayer in your life. You might have meditation in your life. But the reason I focus on mind, body, and spirit is that you are not your mind. Your mind is a tool. And so you have to focus on your spirit, your soul, your being, because that is something that's going to help you to remember that you are not your thoughts. You are your spirit. And then another area is business. Where are you focused? What are your priorities? What does your schedule look like? And finances. Many of us do not ever get around to our finances. Do you have a budget? Are you tracking success? Do you have a yardstick for where you're going and what you're accomplishing? If you don't have a scoreboard for your finances, then don't talk to me about wanting to be successful, because you're not even tracking it. That's such an important thing. Even if you work your guts out, you've got to be tracking it. And then ultimately relationships as well. And relationships should be your number one priority, because that's your true wealth. That is where you're going to feel fulfillment, happiness, satisfaction. And whether you have a partner, whether you have kids, whether you have a family, whether you have associates, whether you have partners in business, there's a lot of different areas you can develop relationships. And make sure it's not just the surface level on the internet with social media. Ask questions, talk to people, be genuinely interested in other people. But these are just all suggestions I have for you in areas that you can really break down your life and go to the next level. And just remember, it's the little things that will add up to create the biggest difference in your life. It's never too late to start living the life that you're meant to live. It's never too late to start focusing on the fundamentals and up your game to the whole next level. So I hope these are some ideas that'll help you. Looking forward to talking with you again more tomorrow. It's day 3 of our event, but I'm going to break out and get some content for you, and we'll start posting some interviews as well. So anyway, for those of you that are first joining us, and maybe this is your first podcast, my name's George Wright III. This has been the Daily Mastermind, and I really recommend and hope you'll share this with someone that you feel you might benefit from it as well. It would really mean the world to me, and I look forward to talking with you soon. Have a great day.